you can afford. And MetaShare is trusted too. It's been around 30 years. It's not some big impersonal thing. It's a community of people helping each other, business owners, pastors, retirees. People love it. MetaShare 65 Plus just makes sense. To learn more, give them a call. They're great to talk to. They'll offer to pray with you each time you call too. Call now, 833-SHARE-55. That's 833-SHARE 55. 833-SHARE-55.
Rocket 1025.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. Ample sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 77. North winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 42. Tonight, clear skies. Ample sunshine expected tomorrow, high of 76. Sunny skies and dry Saturday and Sunday, mid-90s Saturday, upper 70s by Sunday. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 81 Monday, 83 Tuesday, and 86 on Wednesday. Another look at the short range. Highs reach 77 today. We should dip down to around 42 tonight. Highs reach 76 tomorrow. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Currently 49.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-2706. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-2706. That's 800-575-2706. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Get ready for the most electrifying football action of the season right here on Rocket 1025. Cheer on your Denver Broncos with every thrilling play, every game-winning drive, and every heart-pounding moment. Don't miss a second of action. Tune in all season long to Rocket 1025. Broncos football powered by FMB Bank, Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Colby Ag Center, Tubbs & Sons Ford Sales, Hoxie Feed Yard Imperial Beef, Next Tech Wireless, Burlington Ford, Zimmelman's Jewelry, and Vince's GM.
Hi, this is Stephanie Dole with FNB Bank. At FNB, we offer many different types of deposits accounts to help you achieve your financial goals. Whether it be personal checking or savings, business checking account, or a variety of CD options, we're here to help. Stop by our bank directly east at the post office in Goodland or call 785-890-2000 to begin working with me or another FNB Bank team member. FNB Bank, member FDIC.
This Saturday is the annual Fall Festival at the Buffalo Bill Culture Center in Oakley, with a lot of activity starting at 10 a.m. this Saturday, like a photo booth, inflatables, rocking H alpacas, wagon rides, yard games, rope braiding, kids' temporary tattoos, touch a truck. Here's the popular talent show, pumpkins for sale, sidewalk chalk contest, pumpkin decorating contest, a lot of other events, food trucks, sweets, crafts, and more. A free event this Saturday from 10 to 4 at the Buffalo Bill Culture Center in Oakley.
Even though your attention has turned back to school with events and activities, you just can't forget everything going on at home. That's where your local Hoover Lumber Ace hardware stores in Goodland and Colby come in. Keep the lawn in check with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. They are still your local Benjamin Moore paint retailer, and they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Plus, their helpful and knowledgeable staffs are some of the best in the Northwest. It's all at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Open every day but Sunday.
They're having one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. That's right, a hail sale where you can get massive savings on a new vehicle. For example, get a 23 GMC Sierra 1500 up to $20,000 off when you trade in eligible vehicle, now just over $37,000. A new 24 Chevy Tahoe RST, $13,000 off, now just over $59K. Plus 24 Chevy Traverse RS, $10,000 off, now just over $45,000. Plus many more. It's one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
If you take electric or natural gas service from Midwest Energy, you're a co-op member. Midwest Energy is holding its annual meeting of members on Monday, October 21st, 10 a.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn in Hayes. Join us for a short meeting and maybe win one of several great door prizes. Again, that's the Midwest Energy annual meeting, Monday, October 21st, 10 a.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn in Hayes. Midwest Energy, a customer-owned cooperative making energy work for you.
You ready? It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Give me my cane. I'll show you how to play this game.
The region's only local sports talk.
Dynamite drop in at broadcast school has really paid off.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 simulcast. The pros.
And Tendy back on the track. It's out of here. Bobby Witt Jr. delivers a go-ahead grand slam.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
Line down the left field line. It is a fair ball. 1 run scores. 2-run score. Everybody scores. It's a bases clearing. Big pinch hit for Albanez. And it is now 5-2 Detroit.
Crowd quiet. A lot of anxiety. Bounding ball up the middle. Backhanded stop by Westbrook. Throw to first. Not in time. The pitch. He struck him out. And the Kansas City Royals move on to the division series.
Adames, the runner at first. The pitch. Swing and a fly ball. Right center field. It is up. It is good. Off the top of the wall and out of here. Garrett Mitchell, a go-ahead 2-run home run in the bottom of the 8th inning.
And good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome back inside the Morning Blitz. As always, broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, simulcasting on Goodland 730 Gold, KLOE, NWKSradio.net, and of course, the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on YouTube, Facebook, X/Twitter. Glad you're with us here on this October the 3rd, 56 degrees outside to get our day rolling on our way to a high of 79. The expected high today. I think temperature is going to be anywhere from the upper 70s to the low 80s, just somewhere in that ballpark. After a 92-degree day yesterday, we're back down a little bit cooler here on this Thursday. Fun show ahead today. We will get to an MLB postseason update, which, honestly, the wild card round has been fantastic. You couldn't – I talked about a few weeks ago how I said in the wild card race how Rob Manfred probably couldn't be happier with how things had gone with the final month of the season. This was probably back, end of August? Yeah, end of August. It's probably, he had a month left of this regular season for his league, and there were so many great races going on in the wild card. He just probably couldn't have planned out any better, and it turned out being a great race to the very finish. In fact, it needed to go an extra day long just to get it done. And then, to come and have these playoff series where they're very tight, competitive, edge-of-your-seat type games, it's been really exciting as the MLB postseason to this point in time. We'll get you a complete update on who's advanced already, who's still got another decisive winner-take-all Game 3 today. We'll get you all that coming up here in our final segment of the day. Our guest of the day, a crowd favorite, Wyatt Thompson, voice of the K-State Wildcats, will be joining the program today. K-State on a bye this week, but, already a few games in the books. Only just one loss, some thoughts, and a good conversation coming up with Wyatt Thompson, the voice of the Kansas State Wildcats, in about 18 to 20 minutes from now. But it is a Thursday. We have Thursday night football tonight to kick off week number 5 here in the NFL.
with what is the Falcons at the Bucks, an NFC South matchup. So we have that to get to in our NFL Power 5, which will be coming up here momentarily. Before we get to the NFL Power 5, though, did want to highlight Colby Community College volleyball, another win last night, this time on the road, where they're perfect. 6-0 on the road this year. Lady Trojans sweep Hutchinson 3-0. They won 25-17, 25-20, and 25-19. They now sit at 17-2 overall. They just are 7-1 in league play. Their lone loss coming to a top 5 ranked team in Barton. But 8th ranked Colby. Now, let's get 8th ranked top 10 team onto the road again. They were home for 3 straight. Now they remain on the road for another consecutive game on Saturday. They'll be up at Cloud County, which can be a difficult place to play, but I have a feeling the Trojans will take care of business on Saturday afternoon. So, and there's a little bit of local sports today, not a lot. There is a big triangular over in Colby. I think they're welcoming in Goodland, Holcomb, and Cimarron today. I don't believe Goodland and Colby will face off today. They faced off Tuesday in Goodland. I don't think they're going to face off today. So I think Holcomb and Cimarron will come and play Colby each, and Goodland will play Holcomb Cimarron each, is my guess. I'll be intrigued to see. I think we know Colby has a good chance of winning both those matches. I feel pretty good about that. Goodland, it's just 2 wins on the season, but I thought maybe turned a little bit of a corner in their matches on Tuesday. Does that extend into this Thursday? Does that look a little bit different? Do they able to get another win, get 2 wins in a week, which I think would be good. We'll see if that happens here tonight over at the event center in Colby. And a little cross country today down in Ness City. You've got Wallace County and Quinter heading down there to run. Expect a good showing from Quinter, particularly the boys who've had a great season to this point in time. But Wallace County and Quinter going to the Ness City cross country invite today. All right. It is week number 5 in the NFL, which gets going tonight with Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. Let's get to the NFL Power 5. Once again, the NFL Power 5, top 5 games got my eye on here this week. We'll start with the honorable mention game. And there were a couple of these, but the one that for some reason, I don't know why, I guess I'm just a sicko. But the one game that stands out to me would be the Bears and the Panthers. The Bears hosting the Panthers. Ross, why do you want this game? I don't know. I guess I like ugly games. I don't know. I guess I'm intrigued to see the growth of 2 teams, but from 2 different perspectives. A Bears team that I think has got a good defense and a young and gelling offense that's 2-2, and I think could be decent this year. Still, by the time we get to the end of the year, I think they're playing better if Caleb Williams kind of finds his groove against a Panther team that, after just 2 horrendous weeks, have put the Red Rifle Andy Dalton under center, and all of a sudden, the Panthers just look like a team that's tough to beat. I mean, Andy Dalton's got 5 touchdowns to 1 pick and over 500 yards in 2 starts. And, yes, their numbers are atrocious based upon their first 2 games. But they have found something, I don't know how, with Andy Dalton. I mean, they were able to, get a win against the Raiders. They really fought hard against the Panthers, but just, they really fought hard against the Bengals, the Panthers did. But they were playing a much more talented team, in my opinion. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a very intriguing game. Can the Red Rifle get it done on the road against Chicago? I think, once again, is a team that's still trying to kind of find its footing, particularly offensively. Now, defensively, they're pretty darn good, only allowing 18 points per game. That is a top 10 defense in the NFL. So my honorable mention game, the Panthers at the Bears. All right, moving on into
number 5.
That'd be tonight's game. The Atlanta Falcons at home hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This, once again, as we all know on this show, I've said it many times, the NFC South for some reason does not intrigue me, but I don't know, Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta has kind of got me a little bit intrigued, especially the way he played against Philadelphia a couple weeks ago. He still has just 1 touchdown to 1 interception ratio, 4 for 4, which is not good. Baker Mayfield, though, has been great. Boy, you talk about a guy who has found his spot, and he kind of did a decent job up at Cleveland, but they didn't want to keep him. So then he goes down to to Tampa Bay, and he has found a home there. almost 1,000 yards passing through 4 games this year for Baker Mayfield with 8 touchdowns and 2 picks. He's got 2 very good wide receivers in Chris Godwin as well as Mike Evans. They have a solid offense that scores about 24 points per game. That's a top 12 offense. And they've got a defense that's a top 10 defense. This Buccaneers team is quietly kind of good. But I think the Falcons, they're at home. They've showed that they can put up some points at times, particularly last week against the Saints, who are a team that's hard to put points up against. So I don't know. This game semi-intrigues me tonight. Now, it's on Thursday night, and that usually means it'll be a turd. We'll find out here tonight with Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit on the call on Amazon Prime Video.
Number 4.
We get into some really good games. Overall, this is a good week, I think, in the NFL. This one you'll have to get up early for, so get your coffee on. But the Vikings taking on the Jets from Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. It's part of the, London series that they like to, or the international series they like to do in the NFL each and every year. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is one of the more advanced stadiums in the world with how their field and stuff works. But nonetheless, Vikings hosting the Jets. You've got Aaron Rodgers, who's mad after a horrific performance in the rain against the Denver Broncos, taking on Sam Darnold, who has to be, right now he is the clearest front runner for comeback player of the year, isn't it? I don't even know if he qualifies for it, but he should. Heck, he's in the place for MVP at this point in time if you're Sam Darnold. Over 930 yards passing, 11 tutties, and just 3 picks for Sam Darnold. And you got Aaron Rodgers there, who, like I said, has shown at times this year, particularly in the Patriots game, which I know doesn't say, against the good teams that the Jets have played, which honestly, they haven't played many good teams. They played the 49ers. They got blasted on Monday Night Football. Since then, they took care of the Titans, not a good team. Took care of the Patriots, not a good team. And lost in an ugly game to the Broncos at home, which not good last week. So the Jets have not been that impressive, but they have Aaron Rodgers. They have weapons in the backfield. They have a really good defense. They really do. They are second in yards allowed per game total, which is good. They're the 5th best scoring defense. The problem is the Vikings have got it all. They've got the 4th best scoring offense and the 4th best scoring defense. And they're very good against the run. So Breece Hall and Braylon Allen for the Jets will have a hard time finding holes, which they've already found a hard time. The offensive line has been an issue for the Jets for the last few years, and it continues to show here this year. But I still think this game could be interesting. You never doubt Aaron Rodgers making a game competitive. And just when you think that they might get blown out, this is a game that might be close. The spread, as we sit here on today, where is that sitting at? Line right currently, Minnesota just a 2.5-point favorite at a neutral site stadium. So anyway, should be a good game. Minnesota taking on the Jets in London. My number 4 game in the NFL Power 5.
Number 3.
All right, this one here should be a good one. You've got an NFC North game between the Ravens and the Bengals from Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati. Look, I know the Bengals are 1-3, but they've got to be one of the best 1-3 teams out there, right? Unlike the Jets, they've faced some pretty stiff competition. The Chiefs, of course, who are unbeaten. The Commanders, who have somehow, some way been amazing underneath with Jalen Daniels. And yes, their one bad loss was to the Patriots in the season opener. And once again, season opening games are kind of like another preseason game for a lot of teams, especially if you don't get your team out there and play. So you're viable to get off to a slow start. But you have Joe Burrow, who I think is one of the better quarterbacks in the country with over 1,000 yards. With close to 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns and a pick. And then you have Lamar Jackson, who we all know can do what he does, throwing and running the football. And Derrick Henry has been a monster the last couple of weeks. Shout out to my fantasy teams. He's been amazing. So can this Bengals defense, which, by the way, is not good, not really good at all. In fact, especially at points allowed, they're 27th. They're near the bottom. But the Bengals defense allowing points isn't that much better either. So, I don't know. Both teams have top 10 scoring offenses. Both teams have average defenses. I think we could see a lot of points. If you like offense, this could be your game. So Bengals and hosting the Ravens, number 3 in the NFL Power 5.
Number 2.
Number 2, I am going to go with the Monday night game with the Chiefs taking on the Saints. Look, the Chiefs are 4-0, but they're banged up really badly. I mean, their leading rusher and their leading receiver are both out now for significant time, and one may not be back for this season in Rashee Rice. Luckily, they still have the best quarterback in the game, Patrick Mahomes, whose numbers aren't really great this year. 900 yards passing, which is fine, but 6 touchdowns to 5 picks, not great. But if there is a coach and a quarterback and a team that you think will figure it out no matter what gets thrown in their way, it's got to be Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll find a way to be right in this game. I mean, somehow, somebody, despite all those injuries and taking on a Saints team, which is 2-2, and I think has had a pretty good start. They've had a difficult schedule themselves. They've had to take on the Cowboys. They've had to take on the Eagles, which are good teams. They found ways to blow out the Cowboys, but they've dropped a couple games back-to-back against the Eagles and the Falcons. They've got a good team that with a lot of players that maybe some people don't know, like Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave at wide receiver. Alvin Kamara had one huge game. That's why his number is a little bit inflated. But you've got the number 1 scoring offense in the Saints going up against the number 7 scoring defense in the Chiefs. And so you have one of the better offenses against one of the better defenses, and that makes it highly entertaining to me. I love it when you see the best, one of the best at one thing go up against one of the best in the other. Who's going to win that battle? We'll see. The Chiefs, by the way, 5.5-point favorites at home. Seems like a pretty wide margin to me, even though I think Kansas City will win this game. I don't know. Seems like a little bit of a wide margin. The Saints will be, especially with how banged up Kansas City is. I'll be so intrigued to see what does Andy Reid draw up with the absence of Hollywood Brown, as well as, of course, Rashee Rice. Is Noah Gray going to get more in the mix in the tight end room? Are we going to see more Travis Kelce? I think we're going to see more Noah Gray. I do. I think we're going to see more Noah Gray. I think we're going to see more, probably Juju Smith-Schuster probably is what we're probably going to see. And that's they're going to need that. And I think that's a reason why I think this game will be much closer than the 5.5-point spread. They're going to be figuring things out. Well, the Saints are still at full strength, and they're a pretty good scoring offense. So that's why that makes number 2 in my NFL Power 5. That's Chiefs hosting the Saints. That's a Monday Night Football game.
Number 1.
And the top game this week to me here in week number 5, well, it could be a game that we see possibly late in the postseason. Possibly. The 3-1 Houston Texans hosting the 3-1 Buffalo Bills. My guess is we'll hear Jim Nantz and Tony Romo on the call for this one, would expect. You've got 2 quarterbacks that really do a great job of leading their teams. You've got C.J. Stroud, who's got over 1,000 yards passing, 6 touchdowns. Josh Allen, we know his ability to throw the football. By the way, 7 touchdowns, no picks for Josh Allen, and his great rushing of the football as well helps make this Bills offense the number 2 scoring offense just behind the Saints. Whereas, you've got a Texans team that's probably struggling a little bit, if you want to put it that way. Struggling. I don't know how to describe it, because they're a really good team, but I don't know why they've had some struggles at times. The Jaguars gave them everything that they had because they didn't want to go 0-4, but the Texans still found a way to win that game. They took on the Vikings, who've been very good. The Bears game was very close. Been a lot of close games for the Houston Texans, but they found a way to win 3 out of the first 4. And you look at the Bills side, they had a great test against the Ravens and lost that this past Sunday. Other than that, they've played the Jaguars, the Dolphins, the Cardinals, which are not those great of teams, at least here early on in the season. I don't know, but I just think there's going to be so many great playmakers. I mean, Josh Allen is humongous. He's proved that no matter who's in his wide receiver core in the running back room, he's going to find a way to put up a lot of points. And Houston's just got, it feels almost like a little bit like a fantasy team out there with Stroud and Mixon in the backfield, Nico Collins, so many other great players too that are on, and Stephon Diggs. I mean, they've got a great team. And right now, Buffalo is a 1-point favorite on the road, which is kind of odd to see, but is a 1-point road favorite at the Houston Texans because they've kind of stumbled around a little bit. And part of that reason is turnovers. Get a turnover a game, that's going to hurt you for sure on the offensive end. But I think Buffalo-Houston will be a very, very interesting and entertaining football game come up here on Sunday at noon Central, 11 o'clock Mountain Time. So, once again, the NFL Power 5 this week. Honorable mention game, Panthers and Bears. Tonight's game, the Thursday night kickoff between the Falcons and the Buccaneers is number 5. Number 4, Jets, Vikings in London. Number 3, the Ravens visiting the Bengals in an AFC North game. Monday night's clash between the Chiefs and the Saints from Arrowhead is number 2. And number 1, Bills at Texans. The number 1 game in the NFL Power 5 here in week number 5. And like I said, it's a good slate. I mean, it really is a good slate. Looking at this week's schedule, there's another game that I didn't even mention that I thought would be decently entertaining. Oh, well, Cowboys-Steelers, the Sunday night clash, could be a good one. I depends if what offense shows up what offense and defense, what Dallas Cowboy team shows up. It feels like every week we just don't know who's actually going to show up and what it's going to look like. So I'm intrigued about that. Well, what team shows up? Because we all know the Steelers are going to bring the best defense in the NFL, along with the much improved Justin Fields. But we'll see how that all shakes out. There you go. That's your NFL Power 5 here for week number 5 on this Thursday. Okay, let's get to a break. When we come back, Wyatt Thompson, voice of the K-State Wildcats, is going to join us next and talk about the season thus far for KSU. You're listening to the Morning Blitz here on a Thursday.
Goodland's Rocket 102.5 is your home for Goodland High School athletics. From touchdowns and three-pointers to home runs, Ross Volkmer has you covered with all the action. Join him for live broadcast on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, your front row seat to the Cowboys and Cowgirls. Select games video streamed on the Goodland Voice. GHS athletics this season are made possible in part by
Shelter Insurance Agent Brentwood, Bateman Funeral Home, CFS Auctions, and L&W Andrest Insurance Agency. It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning, this is Kate Thompson with the Anderson Trade Group. Today is Thursday, October 3rd. And on the overnights last night, December corn traded lower 2 3/4 at 4.29 3/4. March down 2 3/4 at 4.47 1/4. May down 2 1/2 at 4.56 1/4. And July corn down 2 1/4 at 4.61 1/2. November soybeans down 11 3/4 at 10.44 1/4. January down 11 3/4 at 10.62 1/2. March soybeans down 11 1/2 at 10.77 1/4. And May down 11 cents at 10.91 1/4. Chicago wheat, the December contract lower at 3 1/2 today at 6.11 3/4. March down 3 3/4 to 6.23 1/4. May down 3 3/4 at 6.45 1/4. And July soft wheat down 4 cents at 6.50 3/4. Kansas City wheat, the December contract lower 4 1/4 at 6.15. March down 4 cents at 6.30 1/4. May down 4 cents at 6.39 3/4. And July down 4 cents at 6.46. On the stock market this morning, the Dow down 148 at 42,362. The S&P down 13 at 5,746. The NASDAQ down 72 at 19,937. Gold lower $6.60 an ounce at 2,663. And crude oil up $1.57 a barrel at 71.67. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call, John Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Slido, Jared Law, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
Out here, we raise stronger people, stronger crops, and we proudly raise our flag to that. Let the weather, pests, and pressures try to beat us down. We only keep growing up. With the next-gen genetics, the pure acre-for-acre know-how of these soils, and a deep pride of our roots, we are born to raise at Hogemeyer. Learn more at therightseed.com.
When challenging conditions arise, we don't back down. We up our game. Outpacing the competition with innovations fueled by Bayer's R&D, keeping you equipped with an expanded portfolio, elite genetics, and additional local test plots. Channel leads the field, so you can rise above. See how you can save at channel.com/finance24. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
Even though your attention has turned back to school with events and activities, you just can't forget everything going on at home. That's where your local Hoover Lumber-Ace hardware stores in Goodland and Colby come in. Keep the lawn in check with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. They are still your local Benjamin Moore paint retailer, and they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Plus, their helpful and knowledgeable staffs are some of the best in the Northwest. It's all at Hoover Lumber-Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Open every day but Sunday.
They're having one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. That's right, a hail sale where you can get massive savings on a new vehicle. For example, get a 23 GMC Sierra 1500 up to $20,000 off when you trade in eligible vehicle, now just over $37,000. A new 24 Chevy Tahoe RST, $13,000 off, now just over $59K. Plus 24 Chevy Traverse RS, $10,000 off, now just over $45,000. Plus many more. It's one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
Hey, it's Brian Haney, the voice of the Jayhawks.
A two-hand follow jam is true for Josh Jackson.
And you're listening to the Morning Blitz with my main man, Ross Volkmer, right here on 102.5 You Rock.
Continue to roll along here on a Thursday morning, October the 3rd. Once again, going to be a little bit cooler today than yesterday. 79 degrees, the expected high here in the high plains. We go to the Hoover Lumber-Ace Hardware hotline, where our guest of the day, Wyatt Thompson, joins us now from Little Apple. Good morning, Wyatt. How are we doing today?
Doing really, really well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How do you like to enjoy your bye weeks?
Well, they seem to go very, very fast because you always try to work ahead a little bit. And we, as you know, have basketball pretty much right around the corner. They've got an exhibition game on the 29th. They're actually going to do a little team thing out in Dodge City on Saturday of this week. So I won't actually go to that, but I've been watching some basketball this week just because it's been a little bit slower and working ahead on some Colorado stuff and all of that. So you know, you're not really off, but yet you're just not playing a game. And I've enjoyed the little bit of a slower pace, and I'll definitely, when we get to the weekend, be watching a ton of football games. That's the greatest part for me.
No, absolutely. That is a lot of fun for sure. And what are your thoughts on this year's Jerome Tang squad?
You know, it's interesting because I really honestly think he loves this group in terms of their makeup. At first look, you see the length of the team, you see the depth. I think they've really done a great job of just recreating a new roster, I guess I'll say. I know that sounds a little odd, but they have two really talented, young point guards, Doug McDaniel, the transfer from Michigan, and David Castillo is going to be a really, really fine player. Played at Sunrise Christian near Wichita last year, and Bartlesville, Oklahoma kid, really a four-star player, really good. But those late additions of the kid from Kentucky, Uganon Yenso, and Coleman Hawkins from Illinois, I think really give them an opportunity to be, you know, a big-time potential postseason team. With that said, I think we all understand that there are probably 5 or 6 teams in this league that are as good as anybody that far down, right? Kansas, Baylor, Houston, Iowa State, Kansas State. I mean, there are a lot of really good teams. Arizona. I mean, you don't have to talk very long to name 5 or 6 really good teams. So the league's going to be great too.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the Big 12 every year in basketball, it seems like. And when you add in, like you said, Arizona and some other teams, heck, Colorado's been a good program in basketball for Tad Boyle the last couple of years.
Does a great job.
Yeah, so it's going to be definitely a bear of a league. How motivated did you think Jerome Tang was this offseason? I got the sense that he was highly motivated after not even making the tournament last year to go make sure that does not happen again this year.
Yeah, and we're in a scenario, and you know this, that an ever-changing landscape in college athletics with the transfer portal and with NIL. I think it's pretty obvious that K-State on the NIL front is, you know, in really pretty good shape right now, and it's afforded them to go out and get some quality players and not only build a roster of, 6 or 7 good players, but more like 8 or 9 or 10 really good players. And I just think that's a great thing for this program moving forward. I can't wait to get started. They've got a representative schedule, and I really do think you're right. He was motivated to not be an NIT team again. I think he is all about winning championships and all of those kind of things. And yeah, he was definitely motivated, 100%.
We're visiting with the voice of the Kansas State Wildcats. That would be Wyatt Thompson here on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. On to football. If I told you when we visited earlier this year, the K-State would be 4-1 when they got to their first bye week, what would you have said?
Honestly, I'd probably said that sounds about right. I really like this team. I know I'm prejudiced, and I get that, but they're really, really talented. I think they have a good mixture of experience and quality youth. I think they're still building and getting better. Depth-wise, I think it's a really nice team at this point. They're playing a ton of people on both sides of the ball. I guess you could probably argue that they've had some growing pains and be accurate with that. They did not play very well defensively against the pass, as an example at Tulane in the first half, better in the second. Stumbled with BYU with really a very, very poor 5 or 6 minute stretch. But generally speaking, I think we've seen them grow offensively and defensively. And with the youth of the quarterback, Avery Johnson, and what he's doing, I really think their best football is still ahead of them. Now, the games get harder too, right? And that's just part of it. But I've been impressed with him on virtually every level so far. Really a talented young man.
I think it's been interesting, especially games 2 through 5, when you have Tulane, a game that was very tightly contested, you're able to pull it out, and then you make the corrections and you blow the doors off Arizona pretty much. You go to Provo and struggle mightily, only to come back and really take care of business against Oklahoma State. It really has shown they've done a good job of rebounding and responding to what went wrong in the game, whether it was a win or a loss, to putting together a great performance the following week.
And that's what you have to do, to be honest with you. I think the coaches right after BYU had the message of don't let BYU beat you twice, meaning don't hang your head. We've got a really good football team coming in here in Oklahoma State. You better get ready to play. And I think they were motivated by what happened. And one thing that I appreciate is that in talking about Avery for just a second here, he made a couple of mistakes in the game against BYU and actually made one in the game against Oklahoma State, but quickly overcame it. And I think that shows progress and growth and maturity and those types of things for still a very young player. Where they've been really consistent is running the ball and playing pretty good run defense. and I think you can win a lot of football games if you do that. The offensive line has played together for 5 games now, and I think they are getting better still and developing more depth there. It's obvious that Avery Johnson is a really fine young talent, as is Dylan Edwards, but DJ Giddens is already there. He is a warrior, man, and I think he's one of the most underrated players in our league. And now that you have some of those receivers and tight ends catching up a little bit, I like what's going on. But this will be a big stretch. After this, you got back-to-back road games in Boulder and in Morgantown before KU comes here. So this is an awfully big, I'll call it middle of the season stretch. How's that?
No doubt about it. Wyatt Thompson joining us here, the voice of the Kansas State Wildcats. You can hear him, of course, locally on 100.3 The Ride. I'm glad you brought up DJ Giddens. I was going to bring that up. Is he the least talked about running back, maybe in the nation? It seems like it at
He's
times.
Certainly one of them. I think the young man at Boise is starting to get some run and should. I mean, the guy's averaging about 10 yards a carry. But DJ is really unique at our level. When you're averaging 7.3 yards per carry, I don't know how you necessarily top that. That's crazy. He's already at 604 yards in 5 games after a big year last year where he rushed for over 1,200. But he's more than that. I would profess to you that I think he's just become a very well-rounded player. You saw him make a juke last weekend in the game against a secondary player who's a pretty good player, and yet take it to the house. So there's more speed there than you realize. He can run inside and out. The guy has 45 career catches, and he catches virtually everything in sight. Not everything, but close. And I just love his approach. He's so quiet and unassuming around most of the media, but you put a helmet and shoulder pads and some football gear on him, he turns into a different cat. And I just love everything about him. He's a warrior and a tough dude.
I want to go back to the BYU game. I know that's a black eye on the season at this point in time, but it was kind of rare to see K-State get beat that badly in that setting, I guess. You were there in person, obviously. You talked about the 5 minutes. Was it the atmosphere you thought that maybe got to a young quarterback, maybe in a younger offensive line? Honestly, the thing I thought the most of why it was, K-State got out K-Stated. They had a punt return for a touchdown against them, which was one of the wildest plays you'll see. I just want to know from your perspective what happened there in Provo.
I think it was more about K-State, and this is going to sound tough, and I don't mean to take anything away from BYU. They were the better team for the most part from 2 minutes to go in the first half through the end of the game. There's no doubt about that. I do not take that away from them. And I think it's obvious that they have taken a step forward from a year ago, which was their first in this league. I said it at the time that they were added to the league. They will be a factor in this conference because they recruit nationally and internationally. But Jake Retzloff has really taken a big step forward at the quarterback position. And you win games at every level with good quarterback play. And he's good. They have a lot of pieces around him. With all of that said, to try to answer your question, you know what? It just was kind of a freak thing in terms of the punt return. And I think most people would understand that. But what hurts the most is, and like you said, it was kind of un-K-State-like in so many ways. The punt return, 21 points, 21-0 BYU in points off turnovers. Just penalties. K-State was really hurt by, and give BYU's fans a little credit because a couple of those were, snap infractions where you're not hearing very well and those kind of things. But hey, you got to get better there, man. That's 100% true. That's going to happen on the road almost everywhere you go in this league, whether you're in Lubbock or Provo or wherever it might be. It doesn't matter. They're going to be loud in this league.
I'll tell you the other thing about BYU that I think makes them a contender almost every year is they'll always be the older team because their players are usually going to be older when they play. They've got a bunch of 21, 22, 23, even 24-year-olds at times.
Yeah, they do.
Because of their deal there in Provo. So that makes it a hard out. I tell you, this upcoming game, not this week, of course, the 2 weeks here against Colorado, that one has got to be just absolutely fascinating. I'm sure there's got to be butterflies in your stomach for the excitement of that because maybe of the old flavor of the old Big 12 and the Big 8 and all that stuff. But, Colorado's on a real heater themselves.
They are. And I think I don't know that you have to be all that football smart to see that they've improved since week one. I think K-State has.
Hands down.
And clearly they have. I look at their team and I see growing confidence. You have those sparkling talents, I guess I'll say, with Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter and a few others. But what a lot of people are missing is what they're doing better at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. They had not been going into last week at UCF a very good running team. That's obvious. But they had 128 rushing yards in that game, and it makes Sanders and those veteran receivers so much more difficult to defend when you have to respect the run game. And then defensively, the job that they did against R.J. Harvey and that group was stellar. I love their effort. I thought they played. I've watched the game back on tape twice. They've got a lot of guys starting to play there. I will tell you that I think part of the thing, too, is just getting used to a new system, And what I mean by that is they have 2 new coordinators, and it takes a little time. But you can see it. I mean, they're starting to believe, and they're playing harder. That will be a very hard game, and I think it will be for both sides. K-State's a good team; they know that. I think we're in for a really good game next week.
No, I think it'll be a dandy of one. How does Coach Kleiman, in your history of following his program, how does he like to handle this week here, the bye, and get his team rested but also prepared for the upcoming rest of the season?
Well, great question, because that's it, isn't it? I think, one, you need to get some of those veteran guys a little bit of time off their feet and legs. I don't mean do nothing, although they probably get a couple of days off. But I think this is at least the fun part of this week was about the young players that don't necessarily see a lot of field time yet and are part of that group, that's the scout team working on K-State this week. And that will do them a lot of good moving forward as they continue to try to build depth. Then you start to, turn a little bit and look towards Colorado. You may not get into the total game plan stuff, until now-ish, like, the end of the week. But I feel like I think Coach likes where this one falls, even though when you play well, you want to get right back out there and go again. But I think for the Hadley Panzers and the Austin Moores and some of the guys that have played a lot of football, it's not bad to step back and take a little breath or two and get some of those young guys more reps. And then hone in on Colorado, because you know what? As we've talked about, Colorado's better. They showed some things at UCF that they hadn't shown before, and with a week off, they'll probably do it again. And I think K-State may too. So you need a few extra days there to probably get ready if you have them. And fortunately, they do have them.
Let's go after this. Wyatt Thompson, voice of the K-State Wildcats, here on the Hoover Lumber's Hardware Hotline. Looking big picture at the Big 12, I mean, it's kind of played out how I guess I thought it would. Very even, a lot of teams with a lot of similar records. What are your thoughts on the Big 12 as a whole here about 4 or 5 weeks in?
Well, I think we've learned in the last couple of weeks that every week is different and the league is more balanced than I think the perception was even just a week ago. Everybody after not this past Saturday, but the one before that, it's like, Utah winning in Stillwater, they may run the table. Well, they lost at home last week to Arizona. I think that gives you a pretty good sense because Arizona had gotten clubbed here, and then they had an off week. That off week helped them. I just think it's pretty balanced. I don't think there's a whole lot of difference in the top 5 or 6 teams. I think I've said that all along. Not a lot of people are saying a lot of glowing things about Iowa State, but in my mind, they're clearly better than they were a year ago. You still have to like Utah if they get rising back at some point. K-State, and there are certainly others. I'm anxious to see some of the games this weekend because I think it is wide open, don't you? I really mean that.
Oh, I think it was going to be that way from the start. From the even before we played any games. I think you just saw this league and you saw a lot of teams that were kind of on the same level, and that result. And you, like I said, you're seeing all kinds of different outcomes. I mean, that Colorado game last week where they blew the doors off of UCF on the road. Who would have thought that? I mean, that was they were 14-point dogs in that game, and like you said, Utah falling at Arizona. Now, Utah hasn't had Cam Rising, and I don't know when they'll get him back, but you'd think that would improve them. But yeah, there's just a lot of those type of scenarios. We both think that BYU would have been, a better program, probably in the long run, but they struggled last year, but they have found their footing. So yeah, it's just a lot of different things.
Yeah, and you covered a lot there in a pretty short period of time. But the one thing too that I think needs to be talked about with BYU is how much better they are at the line of scrimmage. Their defensive front is big and veteran, as you talked about, and they are pretty active. They're not perfect like everybody else, but I think they've clearly taken steps forward. And I think that's what's going to make the league fun because Utah and BYU, K-State, Iowa State, I mean, you can name several, Arizona, and you can't, I just think it's really, really, every week is going to be unique. And even some of the teams that have struggled a little bit are still capable of being dangerous, right? I mean, as TCU comes to mind, KU comes to mind.
Yeah, KU.
KU's lost a lot of tough games, man.
Yeah.
It's just the truth.
No, that's probably the biggest shocker to me through these first 5 weeks is Kansas only with one win against a Division II Ellenwood team. You would have, I know we had visited earlier this year, and I said I predicted them to possibly playing for a Big 12 title, and that's completely out the window. It's kind of rough.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got to win close games, and they frankly they haven't. But again, I think it is a long season. I don't think they're ready to throw in the towel. This will be a big game for them this week, don't you think? At Arizona State.
Oh, every game until they win one is a massive game.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely right. But let's say they would happen to get that one this week on the road. I mean, what it could do for their psyche? Because, I'm just being honest about this. When I studied the schedule in the off season prior to the year, I liked their conference schedule the way it laid out. I know you don't want to start 0-2 and those kind of things. Who does, right? Oklahoma State didn't want to be 0-2 either, but I think they're going to rebound at some point and be okay.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it plays.
No, it's going to be very interesting. Kansas, after this Arizona State and Houston, then they've got 3 ranked teams, at least sitting right now, K-State, Iowa State, BYU, and then Colorado, who could be ranked. We never know how they've played. So, yeah, it could be.
They may be ranked by then.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah. Wyatt Thompson, voice of the K-State Wildcats, always a favorite on our show. Thank you, Wyatt, so much for spending some time with us here this morning. Enjoy the bye week as much as you can, and safe travel, or have fun over there in Boulder.
Well, thank you so much. Great being on with you, and tell all those great people in Goodland I said hi.
We will do so. Once again, the great Wyatt Thompson joining us here on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline, and great stuff from him. Talking Kansas State football in the Big 12. Always a great conversation. Okay, let's get to our final break. We'll come back. An update on Major League Baseball's postseason. That's next here on the Morning Blitz.
Your Cheyenne County Hospital in St. Francis is improving health with access to quality care. Whether you're looking for primary care, wound care, physical therapy, cardiologist, or anything in between, Cheyenne County Hospital can help. For info, visit their Facebook page or call 785-332-2104 or visit them at CheyenneCountyHospital.com. The Cheyenne County Hospital, located on 210 West Street in St. Francis.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment, or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
Hi, it's Andrew Hoiberg from Calcium Products. Rapidly correct and maintain your soil pH with 98G pelletized limestone to protect your fertilizer investment. Applying 98G at 200 pounds per acre provides a 9.4 bushel increase on corn and a 3.1 bushel increase on soybeans. Ask your agronomist about applying 98G pelletized limestone this fall and learn more at calciumproducts.com.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
It's the Morning Blitz.
We're having a great time, couple of laughs, everything's nice.
Weekday mornings from 7 to 8 Mountain, 8 to 9 Central.
Once again, another great conversation with Wyatt Thompson. If you missed any of that interview, as always, you can catch up on it at the podcast page. Also, you can go back and watch on YouTube if you'd like to on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. We get our videos reposted right after the show is done on our website, nwksradio.net. Another reminder, it's homecoming week for both Goodland and Colby, and in particular for Goodland. Don't forget that the parade is going on here coming up this Friday Parade will start at approximately, lineup for the parade will be, parade will start around 2. 1:30 is when you need to start assembling at the Max Jones parking lot there to be prepared for the parade if you want to be in that. Also, for those over in the Oakley area on south of Highway 83 from 10 until noon, our rolling radio, which was here at Flatlanders, they're going to be at Red's Corn Maze and Pumpkin Patch coming up here this Saturday from 10 until noon. They'll be doing live music and broadcast there. So come on out, see them, and have some fun as well there at Red's Corn Maze and Pumpkin Patch. Weather on Saturday, not exactly pumpkin patch type weather is how I'd put it. 93 degrees. My goodness, that is ridiculous. Okay, just a couple minutes left to go. A quick update on the MLB postseason. So like I mentioned off the top of the show, I think it's just been a great postseason thus far. The race to get to the finish line and then the lean at the tape. And now we're starting another race in the postseason. The Tigers, I said it yesterday, folks, they remind me of a team that just fought and fought and fought to get into the postseason and are still fighting despite being in the postseason. They sweep the Astros. They went 5-2 yesterday. They went Johnny Holstaff out of the pen. They went. No one worked more than an inning and 2/3 for the Tigers pitching. 7 pitchers went out there and threw, and they get a 5-2 win over the Astros. What a performance there from them, and especially the pitching staff for Detroit. Of course, the Kansas City Royals are moving on from Baltimore. They win 2-1. The pitching once again was fantastic. Seth Lugo only went 4 1/3, gave up a run on 5 hits with 6 strikeouts. But Zerpa, Schreiber, Long, Bubic, and Ursig, not a single run and just 1 measly hit out of the Baltimore Orioles helped the Royals advance into the ALDS against the Yankees. By the way, the Tigers will get the Cleveland Guardians in the next round, an AL Central matchup. The Brewers are the only team that have going to push a series to 3 games. They win 5-3 over the Mets in comeback fashion. Big-time home run from, I think it's Garrett Mitchell, who had the 2-run blast that put the Brewers, broke the 3-all tie and put them on top 5-3. They get the win there. And then the Padres hold on to beat the Braves 5-4, a late push in the 8th inning from Atlanta to try and push to a game 3. Did not happen. Padres advancing on to take on the Dodgers in the NLDS. So you've got Tigers, Guardians, Royals, Yankees, Padres, and Dodgers at this point in time in the MLB postseason. And a couple of fun facts that I found yesterday. Of course, the Royals, it's a completely different season. Last year, a 56-106 record. This year, ALDS bound, which is amazing. And how about this? The Tigers' 26-man roster is worth $18.8 million in salary. Josh Hader, the guy they went up against and got the big hit, Albanez did to push them over the top and eventually get the win, his salary is $19 million. It's the Tigers who are getting paid pretty much nothing, putting it all together against some of the best and most highly paid in baseball.
A 3-run walk-off home run. A game-winning walk-off with a walk-off.
His second walk-off hit of the season.
In walk-off fashion. That baby's go.
Real quick, we got to get out of here. Another reminder of local sports tonight. You got Colby has a triangular with Goodland, Holcomb, and Cimarron coming to town. That'll be at the event center this evening and afternoon. Wallace County and Quinter cross-country teams running down at the Nest City cross-country invite. And, of course, Week 5 of the NFL football season kicks off tonight with the Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. If you do want to watch a little bit of baseball, you can catch the Brewers and the Mets. That Game 3 winner take all is tonight on ESPN at 6 Central, 5 Mountain Time. Right now, looks like you've got Milwaukee as the favorites to win that one, according to ESPN Bet. We'll see how that all stacks out. Thanks again to Wyatt Thompson. Thanks again to you, the listener, for tuning in, no matter what way you're doing so, whether it's the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream, the old school radio way, or NWKSradio.net. Missing the show? Catch up on the podcast. And until then, we will see you tomorrow in 23 hours for a Football Friday. Look forward to that. Have a good one until then. This has been The Blitz.